We're on air. Welcome.
Thanks for the warm welcome, Ginny. I would love to share a story with you. So let's jump into the slides. Hope you see my screen.
Yes, we do.
Great, great. Picture this, a boundless stretch of open sea. Two large ships collide. And this is not at all uncommon. But how is it even possible? Well, in most cases, it's on human error, but what is interesting is that many times when the crew realizes that they're going to collide with another ship, it's already too late to react and to do anything about it. This is because the ship's inertia in the water, resulting in its inability to change direction on time. And the same characteristic can apply actually to organizations. We could call this agile, business agility, or adaptiveness. But companies do not collide with each other. Rather, agility or adaptiveness helps them navigate and stay relevant on the market. So our main focus is that we actually want our organization to stay relevant on the market. We could call this business resilience. And in that, what is helpful for us is, adaptivity, agility. But let's start from the why and how and what of agile, aka adaptiveness. So we want improve business resilience to stay relevant on the market. And in order to do so, we want that our organization has the ability to choose to work on whatever is important, whenever they want it, and at no extra costs. But how we are going to achieve this? Well, by bringing business and tech people closer together, by focusing on reducing lead time and by increasing transparency. What will help us to achieve this? We have the whole agile toolbox, starting from the principles like whole product focus, system thinking, and empirical process control through frameworks like Scrum, Kanban, Management 3.0, DevOps, and so on, through practices like extreme programming, specification by example, test-driven development, 360 feedback, lean canvas, and many more, through actually successful adoption stories of many organizations around the world. And amongst all this, we have LeSS. And I believe that actually large-scale Scrum awakens the true potential in the people in the organizations by giving them freedom and means to actually tackle the hardest problems. So Ginny already introduced it a little bit and shared about me. So what I will going to add is that feel free to scan this QR code to follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also LinkedIn article author and provocative poster, so feel free to do so. Currently, I'm located in Barcelona, so hopefully next year I will see you all on the LeSS conference in Madrid. In the great weather and so on. And I will share the story of a KaiCap moving forward that drastically improved business agility of and included about 11 teams, so 136 people in an e-commerce company in Poland. We moved it away from modern waterfall, component groups, siloed departments of architects, UXs, and a web of coordinators. But let's start from the end. So we managed to have experiments with practices like LeSS remote product definition workshop. Please use your hands on Zoom if you are familiar with the LeSS product definition workshop or even participated in one. I would love to know how many of you did this. So my question to you, how many of you have participated or know about the product definition workshop? Yeah, I see Krzysztof. Yeah, you are participated a lot. Happy to see you here. Krzysztof is a LeSS trainer from Poland, and he's talking about this a lot. Okay, thanks. Now another question. So we managed to run this in remote, engaging many people in the organizations. We also managed to run LeSS remote sprint planning 1 event, LeSS remote multi-team sprint review, and LeSS remote multi-team sprint retrospective. Also, please raise your hands on Zoom if you are familiar with this practice, so I know how many of you are familiar with that.
Which one? Can you repeat that?
Oh, the all events of LeSS. So LeSS remote sprint planning 1, LeSS remote sprint review, multi-team sprint review, and LeSS remote sprint retrospective, and of course refinement. Cool. Okay, let's go further. And who of you participated and or maybe are familiar with LeSS remote self-designing team workshop? Cool. I see many hands. So probably some of you have know about this workshop or participated in physical. Right now, remote is much more popular with new challenges. Cool. Another question, who of you has participated in LeSS remote product level definition of done workshop? So I also have a glimpse on how many of you. Cool. And last but not least, LeSS get to know workshop. Let's check this out. Okay, so get to know, it's actually not a LeSS practice, but it's a practice that is necessary in remote environment where there's no environment to really get to know people closely with each other. Microsoft did a study that actually in remote we tend to stick more and communicate more with our team and less with people around us, which is not surprisingly, but Microsoft actually shared the data about that. Okay, so there are many less successful stories on how to run.
Hey, love.
Hi. Also, I truly recommend you to check out LeSSworks website with all the case studies. And if you want to know more about these events, check out, for example, the Avast Flip Forward experience or Jürgen's Desmet's From Good to Great. On this talk, I will focus more on the transition top-down and bottom-up, and actually how to challenge the status quo despite Lerman's laws or organization behavior, and without any external agile consultants. So let's jump straight to it. Who of you are familiar with org topologies? I'm an org topology ambassador. We have also one of the creators here, Alex Krivinsky. So org topologies is a organization design matrix, and it really drives the conversation around how to map the organization in the journey towards adaptivity. And yeah, the creator of the framework are Alex Krivinsky, who is actually here, so he can answer the questions after the talk, and also Roland Flem. So this is basically a conversational matrix that helps us to talk about adaptivity, where we move on two axes. One axis is the x-axis is the completeness of skills, and the y-axis is the scope of work, where we move from bottom left, which is focused on resource utilization, towards actually true adaptiveness of an organization, which is top right. And many organizations start here with one team that can deliver end-to-end features with the whole product focus, which is actually real adaptive because the CEO decides, let's do this, and they just do this. But after a while, when they grow, they end up with local optimization traps, moving the organization back to the less adaptive side. And on this talk, I will talk about the organization whose ecosystem was looking more like this. So in that ecosystem, we had, for example, AP backend teams, which were component groups focused only on
Sorry,
tasks.
but we see some rectangle on the top of the slide.
Rectangle on the top of.
My-
You don't see
That's-
the.
That's your Zoom controller. If you can get that into your other window or
You could share not whole screen.
Yeah, I think your Zoom controllers are blocking the top part of the image and the right one part of the image. Yeah, so two options: whether you share now the full screen, but the browser screen, or rather move that top control with microphones and everything somewhere sideways. Błażej.
It's mine. Sorry.
Yeah, it's about you. Yeah, yeah, exactly. This guy is blocking the maps.
How to hide it again?
Can you move it somewhere?
It's movable. Okay.
You could share only window, not whole screen.
Or try to share a window. This particular, yeah. Now it's in the middle. If you can push it somewhere aside, that might help. Now it's blocking the bottom part. Can you try maybe to reshare the screen and see
Yes.
if you can share, as Dennis is saying, now the whole screen? But just that, or go like this, because now the boxes are on different sides.
How about now?
Now we see the full image. Now it's back to blocking of the maps.
I'm not sure what to do with that.
So if you go back to preview of your whole slides, at least this way we see the entire slide.
But I'm not thinking it's a huge problem that it hides. Right now it's bearable.
Now it's better.
Okay. So back to the the top was really important. So thank you for the comment. So back to the teams. We had, for example, in our ecosystem, the API backend teams. There were 3 API backend teams which were focused on tasks. They have their own backlogs. Each component group had their own backlog, and they were functional groups. And besides that, we have 4 front-end teams that were a little bit more focused on multi-skill work, and they were focused on the features they were delivering, but unfortunately, they were still dependent from the component groups. So we had 4 front-end web front-end teams. We also had a functional group of product owners, which were, in my opinion, we should call them much more business analysts or just coordinators, and they were focused on features. We have also mobile and Android iOS developers. They were much more product part focused because they were focused on the mobile part, but they were still dependent on the API backend teams. We have a functional group of UX designers and SAFe designers, which had also focus on product parts. We have a functional group of architects who had the whole product focus, but were outside the teams. And also additionally coordinators who have gathered all the ideas from around the organizations and distributed them towards the teams. So this was basically the ecosystem of the organization before the flip. And we see that if we want to move towards adaptivity, we should squeeze all that image into right top corner. So Above that, we have the head of IT, which is the blue circle. So head of IT had product owners in his team, API backend team, web front-end team, and mobile Android. This was Michał, my friend, who hired me there. We had also head of architects and also head of business who have coordinators, UX and sales designers. And now the C-level wasn't happy with how we delivered the e-commerce features, how we develop our product. So Michał, the head of IT, had a task from them. Make the teams more effective. Now, I have a question to you. Which KPI would you choose? What would you measure if you had task from the C-level to make the teams more effective? Please put in the chat below or on the right, what measurements, KPIs would you use if you was in the shoes of Michał and be the head of IT and the C-level approached you and said, okay, Michał, you need to make the teams more effective. So feel free. I'm waiting for a list of possible KPIs for making the teams more effective. Okay, I see wait time between teams. We measured that, yeah. Time to market, aka lead time in our case, we measured that. MAU, I'm not familiar with this acronym. Could you expand? Also customer rating, yeah, we measured that. Flow time, this is probably team topologies metric. Could you maybe expand on what flow time is? Feature lead time, happiness level. Yeah, we measured happiness NPS of our users and customers. Release time, yeah, we measured that. Cycle time, cross-functional teams, yes, etc. We didn't measure cross-functional teams. I'm not sure what KPI would that be. Okay, monthly active users. Yes, okay. We measured that, yeah. Also time during transition of work, yeah. Team maturity level, predictability. So many of these we measured. Some of the KPIs are the KPI of the products. Michał had the challenge to actually make the teams more effective. So the KPIs should be much more focused on the organization. So some people call that OKRs, some no. But amongst all the measurements were also lead time. And we choose actually lead time as the key measurement of this transformation, of this agile adoption. Why? Well, let's take a closer look on that. So let's go back. So the ideas were gathered by the coordinators, and the ideas were following from the whole organization. A CEO could give the idea, the C-level, the brick and mortar workers, or the front office of the back office, or sometimes UX designer or sales designer gave their ideas towards coordinators. There were a shared email. You could just share your idea on a possible feature to make money for the e-commerce store. So this took around 20 days to get to the coordinators. The coordinators did clarify the ideas. They additionally make sure that they don't repeat. Next, the ideas were moved to architects, and the architects did a roughly estimate for the possible features. Additionally, it was aligned with the C-level on how to order this. Additionally, the architects divide the features into component features. I make brackets here because what is actually a feature for a component team is only a task for a feature team. So we called it then features, but there were actually tasks for the component groups, and this took around 120 days. And then this was moved towards the individuals' component groups, so the product owners. So this took additionally 30 days because already it took 140 days. So the product owner needed to do reanalysis for that and clarify again what did the architects and coordinators mean by the features. Then the features, I put them in bracket again, were moved to the individual component groups, and it took to deliver about 170 days. So in total, the lead time was 288 days, so 9 months, like a woman delivering baby, but it was only simple features for the e-commerce. So we knew this is the possible place when we can improve. So even that Michał had the challenge to improve team effectiveness, we focused on actually improving the whole organization effectiveness. So like in the Henry Ford saying, if we would ask them what they want, they would say faster horses. So in this case, more effective teams than what they actually needed. So cars, and in this case, more adaptive organization. So we decided that we need to change something. We had this goal from the C-level. This goal was to improve team effectiveness, but we actually was focusing on to improving the lead time. The lead time was 288 days, and we decided that we will make it 50% less. So really brave promise, but why we could trust on that promise? Let's explore what we know about component groups. So basically, every time if we have a feature that requires us to deliver more, that requires more than one team to delivery, the delivery looks like on this animation. So basically, it's not like this, that every team got his feature in brackets and they work on it, and if they finish, they return, and we have the whole feature. And it looks more like this. So the orange team starts, works on it, then it passes it to the blue team. The blue teams work a little on it, clarifies some stuff, works a little bit more. Then the blue team moves it to the green team, and the green teams again to orange team, the orange team again to the blue team, and the blue team again to the orange team. So what is interesting is that, what do you think? Also put in chat. What is the percentage of time of the life of the feature when no one works on it? Please put in the chat the percentage of time no one actually works on that feature. Let's check the chat out. Okay, I've got 50, I've got 90, I've got 70. $65. Well, my experience says it's around 70–80%, and not only my experience, because it's also the result of queuing theory. So basically, when you divide the features for tasks into component groups, the tasks are so small that when the task comes to the team, not the whole team is working on the tasks. So basically what the team starts to do is taking up tasks from other features. And in a result, we have something like many teams work on many features in parallel, but now no feature is delivered on time. So we decided that we want to improve team effectiveness. We want to reduce lead time by 50%. We can do that by moving from component groups, because the component groups generate a huge lead time, and move towards end-to-end feature teams based on the experience of many agile organizations around the world based of what actually LeSS is recommending. So what was next? Let's explore one more thing. One more symptom of component groups. I want to invite you to a thought experiment. Let's close your eyes and imagine you work for a genetic organization that creates animals, and this organization will create a perfect apex predator that is actually should be on the top of the food chain in Africa on savanna. And that organization would divide their teams delivering that animal into component groups following Conway's law. We would have the leg team, we would have the eyes team, we have the ears team, we would have the tail team, and also the back team. Now imagine that all of the teams would give their best to make the component perfect. So no bad software development teams. They all are great, and they'll contribute to the animal. And what do you think? What would you think? How would the animal look like? Well, in my experience, it would like more or less like this. So the leg component teams would give their best to actually make the animal fast. The neck component team would for sure make the animal see everything on the savanna. The HR team would make fluffy ears, because why not? And the back team for sure would make the really, really hard shell, because they wouldn't have anything to do. So this is additional symptom we face in many organizations that have component groups. And we want to deliver our product to not only improve quality, not only improve lead time, but also be omni-channel oriented. So this was additional thing that we could promise by making the team more effective. Okay, let's go more further. So we had our goal to make the teams more effective. It would be by improving lead time by 50%. We decided that we do this by moving from component teams, from component groups to feature teams. And what is to do next? So when I try to run an experiment or even something bigger like an agile transformation, I always come across these 4 groups of people. The first group of people is the pirates. When I approach them while running an experiment, they often reply, "We can't do that in our organization," following by a really long list of corner cases or reasons why it will fail. Also a statement that we are some kind of special and not meant to be agile. A panic reaction that we will somehow break the business, break the product, break the code base and our software delivery, but they don't want to actually brainstorm on how we can avoid that. And last but not least, they state that we already are agile and twist the meaning of the word, so that we already have 4 feature teams, we have product teams, and so on. So this is the first group. And what I recommend you is not to try to convince them, since their goal is to defend the status quo, but it's really nice to listen to them out, because many times the reasons that they give you why the transformation is fail are the reasons why we should actually make the transformation. Because if the organization is doomed, why not try to do something new and actually give it a go for the transformation? So what I do is find these people and really listen to them out, because they give me really many symptoms of why the organization shouldn't be like now. The other group of people are the British Royal Navy. So they also often say to me, you will tell us what to do to be agile. But in my experience, they're either naive that everything around them can change without them, or they state it for the PR reasons, and then they will, change their minds at the first obstacle they encounter. So they're better than the other group because they're positive and optimistic, but I wouldn't approach them and wouldn't run the experiment at the backyard. So who am I looking for when I'm trying to make a transformation successful? I'm looking for the third group, which are the Vikings. So I'm looking for the change agents who actually state, we need to figure out how to make it work for us. They're really eager to challenge the idea of the transformation, asking the yes but question, but one at a time, and really listening to you out and trying to find solutions. I really recommend you to find those guys because they will help you to actually support the transformation and share resources with them. And eventually, many times you end up with being friends with those guys. Last but not least is the fourth group, is the ship's crew. They are more focused and interested on new technologies, developing the product, and not so much interested in the processes, eliminating wastes or the transformation. So what I recommend you to do with this group is to monitor them, because the pirates actually many times can take them to transform them to become pessimistic about the transformation. So monitor them, and also they're really sometimes eager to try some small experiments, which is nice. And additionally, they're giving really truthful feedback about the change. So these are the four groups of people I'm really looking for in the transformation. And how I find them? Well, besides one-on-ones, I run workshops, and I don't ask for permission to do that. I just put on public chats, hey, wanna join some workshops? For example, this workshop, Discover Agile Organization, is a simulation about feature teams and component teams. And then we can challenge the ideas about feature teams and component teams, and I can learn who is the status quo defender, so the pirate, who is the Royal Navy, or who is the Viking I'm looking for. So yes, now I would love to share with you a tool that I really like for aligning with the C-level. The before-after bridge formula. How does it work? So while aligning with the C-level, many times what we do is we say what we will do. So for example, we will make a less transformation. They don't care about the less transformation. What they care is the results, and the before-after bridge is really nice tool to do so. How does it work? So in the before section, we state how does the world look for them right now. So I put here all the symptoms of not working organization, especially the symptoms that are actually coming because of the organizing the organization towards less adaptivity. So for example, component groups. In the after section, we put how will the world look like after the transformation for them. And at the bridge, we summarize what we do to get them from before to after. So how did it look for the transformation for the organization I was part of? So the symptoms in before I actually gathered from the pirates, so the status quo defenders. They give me a lot of insights. And many of these are actually the symptoms of component groups. But what is important is that you take this from the people inside the organization, and you have that in emails, you have that in conversations, you have that in data, because later on when the status quo defenders want to challenge you, you can say, yeah, but we have problems before we need to tackle. The problems were like business ideas are delivered after many months. Yeah, we measured lead time. It was 9 months. There were excessive external coordination necessary. They were analyzed overhead. There were complicated architecture, lack of knowledge sharing, lack of trust between departments, frustration and low motivation in the teams. There were Chinese whisper telephone game as a common practice for work handover, and some teams were overloaded while others have to invent their work. So you can now make a photo of this because you will encounter this in every organization that has component teams. But again, what is important is that you gather this as part of your transformation in data and in interviews with the people. So what was the after that we promised to the C-level? We promised that the ideas will be implemented in a couple of sprints, that the teams will always work on what is most important, so actually adaptivity, that developers will work with business context, contribute to analysis, that we have teamwork on solutions that have a real impact on business, that we focus on the users and their needs, and also that we get easier organization scaling and that we will get self-management of teams and less need for coordination. These are the things you get with LeSS. But this is more important than the LeSS itself for the C-level. So last but not least, we talk about the after, the bridge. So how we will accomplish this? By bringing the business people and the developers closer. We already run an experiment called Project Availability, where we have actually having the business people sitting closely side by side with the developers. We have also teams delivering customer-oriented end-to-end solutions. We also promised that we will do this by basing our experience of basing on the experience of other organizations around the world. We will simplify structure and make the roles more clear and the responsibilities more clear. We will use proven agile practices, so aka LeSS, and we'll involve all departments in building the e-commerce. So we had the goal of the transformation, we had the KPI, we had the alignment with C-level, we had now we need the plan. Our plan for the transformation was like this. We would start with the open space where we would talk about our plans. Then we would run a cross-functional team experiment with one cross-functional team, which was successful. Then we would do workshops for IT and business, the one I told already, where I can find the change agents. So workshop about feature teams versus component teams, about design thinking, about how to do a great product backlog, about extreme programming, so that people get to know each other, and also a space where I can talk with them about the change. We would set up the IT infrastructure because moving from component groups who own individual parts of the system, we need to move to shared code ownership, so everyone needs access to the whole code base, and additionally have the proper tools that they don't break the code base while delivering into many components in parallel. Next, we would run the product definition workshop because we want to get sure what is the product. Many of us in the organization were talking that the products are actually the components, and LeSS actually wants us to see the product from the customer perspective. So what does the customer see? Next, we would run self-designing team workshops. We would gradually start with the teams. Then we would start the new flow of work as the old ideas would run out. We would run the product level definition of done. And that's all. So we have a goal of the transformation. We have the alignment with C-level. We have the plan. What was next? Well, what was next is the Larman laws of organization behavior kicks in. Who of you is familiar with Larman laws? Please raise your hands. to get you energized. Can I ask some of you to share what the Larman's laws are and turn on the microphone just to make it more energetic? What does the Larman law says?
And I always remember is culture follows structure.
Yeah, this is really important. So we were moving towards feature teams, so we following the Larman's laws. But what other Larman's laws? What are about other Larman's laws? So the first three. Anyone familiar with the first three?
I think it could be about tracking time, calculating the percentage also.
Well, no. Unfortunately, no.
Sorry. No, okay.
No,
Let's hear from you. What is it about?
But I'm really happy that you take you participated, because I want my talk to be really energetic. So
Of course, thank you so much.
Larman's talks about, so maybe someone of you can put in the chat the links to Larman's law. Meanwhile, Larman's laws are basically about the status quo defender in the B level of the organization. So the B level is really pushing back the transformation. And I was really lucky in the transformation because the head of IT was one of the Vikings. So he wanted to try out less and make the teams more effective. But the head of architects were much more neutral about that, which I was surprised, because the architects lose power when we move from component groups towards feature teams. So being neutral is actually a big plus for architects. And the business were actually really against it, because they have really big hierarchy of structure where they coordinated their work. And when we would arrange ourselves to feature team, each team were just work on the feature, and they didn't need to coordinate so much. So yeah, my question to you is now is this. Let's explore this change matrix. I don't know. I am not competent with Zoom, sorry. So let's explore this change matrix. If we have the vision, the skills, incentives, and resources and action plan, then our transformation will be successful. If we have the vision, skills, incentives, resources, but lack action plan, then we have false starts. If we have vision, skills, incentives, action plan, but lack resources, then we have frustration. If we have vision, skills, resources, action plan, but lack incentives, then we have resistance. If we have vision, incentiveness, resources, action plan, but lack skills, we have anxiety. If we have skills, incentiveness, resources, and action plan, but lack the vision, we have confusion. So now, taking into consideration Larman's laws of organization behavior, what do you think? Which of these were we lacking? And what was the result? Put in the chat, please. If you would be the B level that would sabotage the transformation, what would be the thing you would sabotage? Would it be the vision, the skills, the incentiveness, resources, or action plan? Waiting for your comments. Thank you, Alexei, for putting the Larman's law into the chat. And now my question to you is, what would you sabotage if you would be the B level of business or architects, and there will be transformation that requires vision, skills, incentiveness, resources, and action plan? So yeah, hope to pronounce your name correctly, says he would sabotage the incentiveness. Cool. Anyone other suggestions?
Błażej, quick time check, 8 minutes.
No, pass on, no worries. Vision. I will make it a little faster. Actually, they managed to sabotage everything of that. So we lacked partially in the business, the vision, in the business skills, in the business, no, maybe not the skills, but incentiveness, resources, and action plan. So we have some false starts, frustration, frustration not, but resistance, anxiety, and confusion. So what was the result? So we managed to follow the plan from open space, cross-functional team experiment, workshop for IT business, setup of IPT structure, product definition workshop for sure. And even we additionally managed to convince C-level to include UX designers in the team. But when the business realized that we are going to move towards feature teams, when the UX designer will be in the feature teams, there was a lot of back and forth on what we are agreeing for. So the C-level needed to intervene on that. There were also process emerging workshop. They proposed that we will make the people decide about the process, which was actually not a great idea. Then we ran the self-designing team workshop, but unfortunately we didn't allocate enough time for it. So it was partially successful. So my tip for you, you need at least 1 day for this, the whole day. So when I was running this physically, half day would be enough, but for remote, for sure, full day. And we have also a public chat mocking with which was troubling in a huge meeting. We managed to, anyways, to start our team's work. I also introduced some team lunch workshop to actually align on the transformation. And there I actually managed to talk about less events. So we didn't agree on implementing less, but I didn't ask for permission, and I thought that we will run these events, and yeah, it worked. So we were closer towards that adoption. Unfortunately, business wanted to introduce some tools that were less adaptive, like dual track agile or RISE prioritization, but luckily they didn't make to the process. We managed to define the new flow of work, and additionally, we managed to have an actual chief product owner. So first, it was a fake product owner who was actually head of IT, so Michał. But then we have an internal recruitation about that to actually get a true chief product owner, which is really important role for LeSS. We managed then to have the product level definition of done and run all the sprint planning one, multi-team sprint review, multi-team sprint retrospective of LeSS. So how was it look like on the org topologies structure? So we moved from this towards this. So autonomous teams with whole product focus who delivered on the web application features end to end. The mobile and Android teams were still dependent on the teams, on the competencies in the feature teams. The architects move away from splitting the features into components towards mentoring. So they're really nice, less architects. And we managed to reduce the lead time to 68 days. So we managed to reduce lead time by 50%. Yes. What was the best measure of adaptiveness here? What do you think? How would you measure adaptiveness? So since we don't have much time, I won't ask you this. I will share how we measure this. So our measure of adaptiveness was actually what the CEO says. And he said, I finally feel that we are working on what's most important. So this was the story of the transformation. We managed to organize ourselves into feature teams. We managed to have chief product owner, and we managed to actually have all these less events. But there's a but. So because of the transformation and challenging the status quo so much and the resistance of the B-level, someone needs to pay for this with his head. So basically the C-level decided to let Michał go, so the head of IT, which was really interesting. But his role wasn't so necessary after the flip because we already have line managers, so yeah. So they decided to let him go. They decided many people left because of that. Additionally, the status quo defenders, so the pirates, managed to sabotage the less events by stating to the C-level and reporting that there are too many meetings. Even we don't state it was mandatory, people state there are too many meetings. So how we moved on the org topologies in that. We needed to cancel the less events, which made us actually go a little bit less adaptive because we have autonomous teams focused only on features, but only the product owners had the full product focus. So this is how we ended up after the transformation. Right now, they're thinking to move some AP competencies into mobile and Android teams, so they have more actually they're moved towards the multi-learning with Flow. But since there are the less events which are really important into the getting organization adaptiveness, the current organization structure looks more like this. Thank you very much. If there's still time, I think only 2 minutes. I can answer maybe one question.
Unfortunately, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, unfortunately, we're out of time, folks. So what I would recommend, first of all, thank you very much for doing this, Błażej. It's a great talk. I would encourage everyone to reach out to you directly should they have any questions, and I will make sure that your contact information is provided with the audio recording. And so I want to create full transparency to you. So if anyone has any questions or seeks advice, they can, get a hold of you directly. Okay. I want to thank everyone for joining today. It's been an amazing and very graphically rich presentation. Thank you for this. It was very easy to follow. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for coming out of this late for your hour, and everyone who's from Europe and India, especially you guys and gals. Thank you very much for coming out and joining us. We shall see each other soon, and happy Friday, and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. Thank you.